Hello, folks, and welcome to today's episode of the Hospitable Hosts podcast. I am your host, Miles Hobson, and today I am joined by Paul Stewart, founder of Cozy Co-Host LLC. Paul's going to be telling us all about how he grew his business to almost 100 properties being managed ever since starting in 2020. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Okay, hello, Paul. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey Miles, how you doing today? Thank you so much for having me on.
No worries. Yeah, doing great. Thank you. How are you doing, Paul? More importantly.
I'm very good day to day, just working away, always trying to find some new ways to go about running our short-term rental business, gaining more clients, and optimizing revenue and occupancy across the board. So it's just a daily grind.
Nice. Love it. Okay, so for those that don't know who you are, Paul, maybe you can just give a quick introduction of yourself, kind of how long you've been in the short-term rental industry, kind of a bit of a background on you as a person and your business.
Sure. My name is Paul Stewart. I'm the owner of Cozy Co-Host LLC, along with my wife, Ashley. We are primarily based in Atlantic City, New Jersey. We are one of the largest short-term rental management companies on the Jersey Shore. We started the business back in 2020. It really was just something we didn't plan to start the business. We had our own property that we had bought in Atlantic City, renovated it, started using it as a short-term rental as well as our own vacation home. And we kind of just snowballed from there and started taking on clients before we even had a name. And now we're just under 100 properties now. And yeah, we're a full service business. So we have in-house cleaners, in-house handymen. And right now we're employing about 20 W-2 employees.
Wow. Okay. And that's pretty quick scaling as well, from 2020 going to just under 100 properties. And I imagine Jersey Shore, it's a pretty competitive market. Probably quite seasonal as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, we are going to make most of our revenue is going to come from those spring and summer months, and then
Yeah.
depending on the weather, we can get a little bit more out of early spring or even going into early fall. But it's really our main focus is in those summer times. In Atlantic City, we are lucky that this is kind of a year round because the casinos and
Yeah.
entertainment. So the market is very hard and difficult here because there are so many short-term rentals. I think there's about close to 1,000. I think AirDNA claims it to be like 1.8, like 1,800, but a lot of those are double listings. So
Mm.
from people that I speak to in City Hall, they have about 700 short-term rental permits in the city. So I think a real number is probably around 1,000 short-term rentals, which it's a competitive market in this Atlantic City
Yeah.
area.
Okay. And then, so in terms of you kind of breaking into the market a bit more and kind of growing to a little under 100 properties, how have you managed to kind of attract, property owners to want you to manage their properties for them? It's a competitive market, but there must be a lot of other managers in the market vying for that business too.
So we were lucky, 2019, 2020, when we kind of like started this whole project here.
Hmm.
There was not actually that many managers that were focusing on short-term rental management. And that's kind of how we got our first handful of clients. People didn't even really know Airbnb. I mean, silly that you'd think 2020, it's not too long ago, but there were owners that did not know what Airbnb was or understand what an STR was just that
Hmm.
short, 5, 6 years ago. So we had a lot of people looking to us to explain to them how this works and how they could generate revenue from their properties. And as we took on a few people, we were lucky to have a real estate agent who he had a lot of clients, and all the clients were having bad luck with regular yearly rentals, and they wanted to convert them to short-term rentals. So we started, getting clients from that way, and then offering, hey, we're do the design, we're do the setup. If you're going to do major like constructions, I'll find the guys to do the work for you. We're kind of unofficially GC the job. So as that kind of continuously happened, it was just a word to mouth. Really, we didn't do much marketing, but I just did a lot of work. I did more work than I was paid to. One of my favorite quotes is it's a Napoleon Hill quote. It's like I believe, don't quote me on exactly what the quote is, but it's the man who does more work than what he's paid for will eventually be paid for less work than he's actually doing, something
Mhm.
along those lines. And I always kind of like that mind frame. So as we were growing this business, I would just work insanely hard and not overly charge clients and people. And without time, through time, we kind of developed a reputation of going above and beyond for clients. And that kind of continued up until even now. Like, it's the same thing. And it's helped us just scale at a higher pace. Also, going back to what I mentioned before, with us doing so much stuff in house, that's something that separates us from anybody in this area. We really focus on in-house cleaning staff only in the Atlantic City area. We do have properties in Ocean City. We even have property in Florida. Um, Properties that are like 30, 40 minutes from here. Those properties are getting cleaned by outsourced cleaning companies that we partner with. But our Atlantic City properties, which is the meat and potatoes of our business at this point, um, they're all being cleaned by our W-2 cleaners. So we feel like we have a better control of what's going on in the property because these cleaners have to do things exactly how we want them. We have SOP for everything. If there's like a linen that goes missing, we know about it. We like the smallest damage, we know about it. And how we operate, everything operates in real time. So when the cleaner finds something, they send a message in our work app. And that dedicated work app has all different chats, and each is itemized. So when that chat comes in, let's say for a damage, that gets kicked over right over to the management side, our operations side.
Mhm.
And our handyman could be down the street because we'd have a W-2 full-time handyman as well. He could be doing something in another property. He sees that message come in. I don't even have to know about it. I don't have to do anything. He goes, he takes care of it. Then he adds it to our service fees. So it's just something that we're able to streamline things in Atlantic City because of our SOP. Is it advantageous for us as a business? Probably not. Holding that many W-2 employees, it's tough. It's a lot of money. It's really expensive overhead.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think we're giving so much value to the clients, and that shows through the properties, which then shows through the reviews and guest experiences, which then generates more booking revenue, more booking occupancy, which then brings us more revenue. So, I mean, I think that has been the main reason why we have been able to scale quicker and with more properties than a lot of our competitors, is that we're kind of doing things different.
Nice, yeah. And was that a bit of a headache almost of, obviously you've got the W-2 cleaners, but there must be a point where it's difficult to decide who to hire next as you're growing so rapidly. Like, you're probably stretching your team a lot thin. You want to hire the next person, but you're probably thinking, well, we probably need a few more properties before we can afford that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you find that process, I guess, of like kind of that chicken and egg of like wanting to hire a team, but maybe not hiring the team too fast?
So I think when we got about 2 summers ago, we didn't have many properties outside of Atlantic City. And I
Mm.
think we had about 20, it was like around 20 cleaners, kind of still what we have about now. And as we started to get properties outside of Atlantic City, it was no way for us to really bring our cleaning staff out to these other places. And we said, okay, we're going to have to get a partnered company. So we ended up getting a few clients in Ocean City, New Jersey. It's only 35, 40 minutes away from here. But our W-2 staff was not going to go there to clean properties. So we ended up finding a good cleaning company. We make them official partners. And what we have them do is they actually have to sign a contract with us. And we're very specific of what has to be done in the property, our expectations. And in the contract, yeah, if they're not doing the right thing and if certain things get mixed, they will not get paid. So that's been a way to really guarantee if we bring in an outsourced company, they're going to work as a partnered company. They're going to
Mm.
get a handful of properties that are their responsibility, and they have to live to the specific guidelines and to the contract obligations that we are telling them we at Cozy expect a certain level of things being taken care of the proper way.
That makes sense. I'd love to kind of switch gears slightly from that kind of operational standpoint to a bit more on financial performance. I think that's something that you kind of focus on is kind of dynamic pricing for your customers. So I'd love to understand kind of, I guess, some of the adjustments that you find yourself making and kind of focusing on when you're going in and setting dynamic pricing on behalf of property owners.
So pricing has been a change for like over the last year and a half. I would say I
Mm-hmm.
have changed like the way I have priced. For a long time,
Okay.
I was anti using dynamic pricing on anything. Did not want to use price labs. Previously, Hospitable didn't have the built-in pricing, dynamic pricing, so it was really like people wheelhouse or price labs or something like that. And I didn't like the idea of it. A long time ago, I did try like a trial run with price labs, and it was like unless you have all these specific settings set so correctly, the prices are never gonna like really be what they should be. And at that point, I felt like I'm better off just doing this myself. I have more freedom and I'll just do it myself. When we hit over like 65 properties, it was becoming to the point of just I had to do something with pricing because I would spend, maybe a full week doing price optimization
Yeah.
on 60 properties, just way too much time. So we finally pulled the trigger with Price Labs. This was about a year ago. And I got it set up because I really think with Price Labs, and I am now using Hospitable's dynamic pricing, and I'm still learning exactly how to tweak this. But I kind of feel over with
Mm-hmm.
any type of pricing software. I really think you have to know the market. If you cannot expect these, basically AI softwares to know your
Yeah.
market and what your property's worth. They don't know that you have the coolest, the coolest wallpaper in your master bathroom, and that there's imported tile that goes up the backsplash in the kitchen. Like they don't know any of this. Like they can't decipher really a 3-bedroom that's basic to a 3-bedroom that's like really nice and really curated properly. It can kind of take in some of the occupancy revenue and things like that and try to adjust it, but that's still really not enough. So I've always kind of thought like my hands have to be in it because I know my market better than any software is going to know my market. I did find a good nice portion to have settings set properly on Price Labs, which I did feel overly comfortable with over time. But I think everyone kind of makes it seem like dynamic price. Oh, I don't have to even do my pricing. I just use dynamic
Mm-hmm.
price labs and this one and that one, and it's done for me. I don't have to work at it. And that's not true. I mean, if you really want to optimize your prices properly, you can't just set it and leave it and think that it's automatically going to do everything correct for you. Like it's 100% not true. At least in my market, it could be different in Oklahoma or North Carolina, but in Atlantic City, South Jersey, Jersey Shore, definitely not the sense. So as time has went on, I used the Price Labs, as I said, kind of got into a good cycle with how to
Mm-hmm.
work it, and I created some cheap steps for myself that worked out good for our properties. Currently, I'm using Price Labs for a handful of properties, but about 90% of my properties are now being used through Hospitable's dynamic pricing. I feel comfortable where it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Still little things that I have to check and tweak, but overall, I've been happy with that software that Hospitable's rolled out, and I think you guys are still going to be kind of ever changing it, from my understanding.
Yeah.
So I think for anyone with pricing, it's don't expect Hospitable's dynamic pricing or Price Labs or Wheelhouse or I think it's Wheelhouse, right? That's the
Yeah.
yeah, any of them, right? Like they're not going to do it for you. You have to know
Yeah.
your market. You're going to have to make sure these specific settings are really in line with what you think or what is going to be, the best bet for your occupancy and for your revenue. And I also think you have to decide for yourself what's your main objective. Is it occupancy, or is it going to just be, the highest ADR that you think you can get?
Yeah.
I personally I'm a big believer occupancy over a higher ADR. I feel like that works better on algorithms for platforms. I've tried both ways with multiple different properties. I have some clients that are like, I'd rather it be less occupancy but a higher rates, and I've never really have seen that really work out in the favor on a yearly basis of generating more revenue. I know everyone is afraid of wear and tear, but if you have the proper SOP and team in place, wear and tear is just part of the business, and it's usually not going to be so bad uh, that you need to worry about keeping your occupancy low because of wear and tear.
Yeah.
That's your game plan. I feel like it's kind of not the move for this business. That I don't think a hotel is ever going to say, We want to have less wear and tear. I mean, they fix the wear and tear. If it's really bad, then you're going to have to charge the guest with, deposits or any type of, insurance or whatever coverage that you have, put in place for that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you made a good point about putting in the work with dynamic pricing. You do need to do a little something and add in your own knowledge. And I think a lot of people actually making that switch from Price Labs to Hospitable dynamic pricing will say, well, the prices are different kind of thing. The suggestions are different from Price Labs. Like they're too low or too high kind of thing. And it's like, well, if you want to do a higher ADR, you can tell us that basically, and you can tell the software that, and you can adjust that. I think you need to put in your strategy almost, like you say. I think sometimes, for instance, ours does focus more on maximizing occupancy versus ADR than Price Labs does. And some people see that, right? And they see that the rates are lower kind of thing, and that kind of shocks them and scares them maybe. But if you want to kind of focus more on that high ADR, you can adjust that. You can adjust kind of your minimums and your baseline that we're basing it on. And yeah, I don't think you should ever set and forget anything, like you said. I think it's sensible to be checking back in and keep an eye on it, and keep an eye on the future and how it looks for kind of future dates in case you get a booking 12 months down the line or whenever it is as well. Cool. Great. So obviously they're kind of talking about optimizing occupancy and kind of getting more revenue. We'd love to understand a bit more about how you deliver kind of amazing guest experience. You've already talked about kind of focusing on making sure that the properties are amazing and that the cleaners are doing a great job. And we'd love to understand kind of where guest communication also comes into that guest experience piece as well, because I know that you kind of focus on trying to get as many 5-star reviews as possible as well.
So guest communication, I think, is definitely one of the quickest and, in my opinion, in a way, easiest ways to satisfy your guests, right? Like, we are very open with our guests and our listings that things can happen. There might be damages that might just totally happen out of the blue. And then there's, of course, wear and tear in all vacation rental properties. And some guests, if they contact you and they say this isn't working, or there's an issue with that, or this is missing, right? If you're a guest, don't you want to be answered like right away? Like not an hour later, 30 minutes, 40 minutes later. Like, you kind of want to be answered right away. And I think as hosts, if you are either hosting 1 or 2 properties, or if you're hosting 200 properties, you have to answer, like, to me, within like 2 minutes is like the longest. Like, even that's a little, like, I want to answer within 1 minute to guests. Because I think like that's where one of the easiest things that we can do. We can't control that HVAC system that might go down. I can't control that maybe the previous guest stole a hair dryer and the cleaner didn't catch that the hair dryer went missing, right? Like, I can't control that, but I can control answering a guest as quickly as possible and giving some kind of good helpful tip on how to fix that situation. If it's we're going to order, a delivery for a hair dryer, or if it's I'm going to get an HVAC tech out there, or even myself will go to the property. We just got to give them something like as soon as possible. And I think that really does reflect in reviews. And it's the easiest thing. Like, that's really very simple to do. And now with AI and messages, it's even easier. So there's really no excuse not to do that. And I feel like, right, if you can do that and you can be positive with the guests and just cordial, they're automatically going to feel a bit better no matter the situation. So for ourselves, with all these properties and hundreds of guests, and I mean, in the on season, we're doing, I don't even know, thousands of different guests per week, right? Probably like 5,000 different guests a week. I'm answering guests. My wife is answering guests. We have an operations manager. She's answering guests during the daytime, the 3 of us. Then we do have AI to back it up on the backside if we do miss something. Right now, we're using the AI messaging through Hospitable, which is really good. I've been extremely happy with it. And then overnight, we have a VA that is in the Philippines, and she works overnight shifts full time. So someone is always manning, that communications messages, and that's on every platform. So that way we're not having guests wait. If it's in the middle of the night, Wednesday at 3 a.m, and I'm sleeping, our VA is going to get it. If she misses it, the AI messaging will kick in and get it. Someone's going to respond within a pretty quick time frame. And so I think that's one of the things. Like I said, it's the easiest thing that we can do. Obviously, the property's being upkept, and cleanliness is always going to be key in this business, because as we all know, if a guest finds one hair in a shower, especially when they first walk in, now they're going to start to look for everything. And now they're like, there's a crumb in the corner, under the couch, under and it's like, did you really move the couches to find a crumb in the corner? Like, what are we doing? But when they find one thing, sometimes that starts it. So let's try to avoid doing that. So we, on top of, after like our cleaning staff goes in, we have a cleaning supervisor and we have an operations lead that are out in the properties. They will hit the properties before guests come in as much as possible. Obviously, in summertime, with about 100 properties, and we might have 60 turnovers on a day, they're not going to get in all 60 properties on that same day. The more we can get our operations staff to do walkthroughs after the cleaning staff is just going to ensure that the property is up to par, which is then going to translate to 5-star reviews. I like to check televisions as well, because that's one of the things that, easy, someone clicks off the HDMI setting, or the batteries are dead in the TV remote. Guests always get aggravated about that. So let's make sure the TVs are working. It's just small things that make a big deal as time goes on with the guests. This is a little probably something that it depends on where you're at as far as properties. If you're someone who's hosting 2 or 3 of your own properties, right, you're probably going to do like the quirky gift baskets and this and all of this stuff. And it's beautiful. That's great. When you're managing, I feel probably over 50. So you're getting 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 plus properties. All of that stuff, you're going to kind of not really have the time to do that. It's not going to be something that you can do on a regular basis. Don't get me wrong, from time to time on our real high-end properties, we do stuff like that, especially in summertime when guests are paying like exorbitant amounts of money. But on a regular day-to-day property, we're not offering all of this, extra special stuff. And, it's like, oh, well, you're not giving the guest the best experience, right? Maybe you're not. But on the same end of it, I feel like less is more with certain stuff. And I feel like that's, especially with bulk of properties, right, is that the less we give them, the less there is for there to be issues. And I feel like that helps 5-star reviews. It does, because the more you give, unfortunately, over time and after thousands and thousands and thousands of stays, I see that can lead to issues. We used to have a client that used to do the gift baskets. They were like, I want gift baskets no matter what. This has to get done. It was in their contract with us. So we brought gift baskets. So after maybe a month of doing it, the gift basket, which had red wine in it, we had guests shoot the red wine all over the ceiling. And of course, that guest was like, I didn't do it. You give wine to everybody? Someone else must have did this. So obviously that client wasn't too happy about that. We remedied the situation. But so then the next day, or maybe it was a stay after, we left out the red wine again, and a kid opened it. And the parents were like, how dare you leave wine out? And my kid took it. I didn't see it. And now we have an issue like that. So this is less is more. Don't give them wine. We had a situation where, yes, a different client, but wanted to leave out snacks, and they left out like sugary cookies is what they wanted to get, dropped off to the property. And they actually had a baker come and do it. And we had guests come in, and they flipped out because the kid ate the sugar cookies, and the kid can't have sugar, and it's a health thing. And it's like, this is why, just know less is better, for especially on a large scaled company like us. Because you avoid issues, and avoiding issues can lead. I guess that's kind of like the shorter version of what I'm trying to say here is, right, I feel like if we avoid issues that we can control, that will eventually lead to 5-star stays. So easy things about communication, we can do that easily. Everyone has the opportunity to answer guests quickly and efficiently. Not putting things in the property that can cause an issue. Even think of another weird one, right? Ice trays. So we used to fill up the ice trays for the next guests. But, there's a situation that happened in the past where someone filled up an ice tray. The cleaners thought they filled up the ice tray, but the previous guest filled up the ice tray and they put vodka in the ice tray.
Oof.
Then the next guest had vodka in that, so it's like, okay, no, we don't want to do that either. So it's just, I kind of feel like you got to watch out what you're doing because mistakes can happen. So if we limit the possibilities of mistakes, that ultimately will give guests a better experience. It will save us a lot of heartache and headaches. And eventually that all leads to 5-star reviews. And I mean, I'm pretty happy with the amount of bookings that we have had over the years. I think it's like 70,000 nightly stays or 80,000, something to that extent. And I mean, we're like a 4.85 overall review, and that's pretty good considering the amount of reviews and the amount of stays that we have had. So I think we're doing a pretty good job, and whatever we're doing is translating to 5-star. And maybe it doesn't work for everybody. Maybe I look at it. We're also in a tougher market. I feel like to an extent, this is a party market. I mean, I feel like if you're in Miami, Vegas, you're probably dealing with the same type of stuff that we're dealing with. Most of your guests are partiers, but then you do have families come in, and those two groups, usually don't mix well.
Don't always mix. Yeah.
So we got to make everybody happy.
Yeah. That's good. I love that perspective. It's kind of a different perspective than we've heard before. I think is more kind of focusing on avoid the negative reviews in order to get 5-star reviews, essentially. Obviously, you're doing all the stuff on the 5-star review end as well. But I think the key is, avoiding those negative reviews from the risks, I guess, and also litigation in some of those instances.
I mean, unfortunately, you have to think that way, especially when you're doing the volume. If you're doing the volume, I mean, even if you're not doing the volume, it only takes like one situation to like really put you in a bad position.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and just for the final few questions, we're going to switch gears slightly, and we actually asked our community to ask us a few questions. So the Hospitable Host community, obviously where some of our customers engage and interact with our team and fellow hosts. So a few questions from them on kind of how you co-host as a company and how you manage kind of a few things there. So as a co-hosting company, how do you typically handle property-related expenses with your owners? For example, when supplies or replacements are needed, do you cover the cost and reimburse it, or do the owners handle it directly?
So we have different packages for owners, so we can kind of cater our services to that specific owner. There are certain owners that want to be more hands-on. We just give them the inventory that's needed. They take care of it. Some of them will bring it to their properties and stock it. Some of them will ship it to our office, and then our staff will bring it to the properties. But then we have clients that are totally hands-off, where we handle all the purchasing for everything, which in that case, we get a credit card authorization form for them. We have a file that has their credit card on it. We typically tell them to get a card that's specifically for that house, so there's no intermingling of monies going in and out from any of their other accounts. So anything that goes to that card, they know it's coming from us. We're the only ones who are using it, and it's always being used for that property. So that has been really a great thing for us. When we first started, we were purchasing items for our clients and then waiting to get reimbursed. And that worked for 10, 15, 16 properties. But then when we got to 25, 30 properties, and especially in the busy season, we are putting out a lot of money. And, just like any business, right? Like not all clients, or if you're in a service business, not all people that you do work for are quick to pay you. So there was a lot of times where we had large amounts of money that needed to get paid to us, getting close to payroll, where we have a large payroll to pay our staff, and our clients are not sending us any of the money in, and large amounts of that money is for inventory items. So we eventually implemented the fact that we have to do it with their own credit card. We give them ask for a credit card authorization form, so we're proper on that side, and that's been the best bet for us to handle that for those clients. And some clients don't like to do it. That's fine. Then they can buy their own inventory. So it goes either way. Most of our clients do have us purchase everything because definitely can get better deals than they're going to get on toilet paper, paper towels. We buy everything in bulk. So we try to find things, at the lowest rate that, we can find for our clients. Because I know throughout a calendar year, it's a lot of toilet paper and it's a lot of paper towels and it's a lot of hand soap and body soap and all these, all the things that you have to provide to guests. It adds up to, several $1,000s a year. So we like to find decent quality stuff that is at a price point that is not going to burn the client's pockets at the same time.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, so next question. Since Airbnb doesn't set qualifications for co-hosts, how can a newer co-host without their own listings build credibility and work towards becoming an Airbnb recommended co-host?
Okay, so that's a good question. And I don't have the full answer for it because actually, it's kind of funny. The Airbnb recommended co-host thing, they denied me.
Oh, really?
I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking like
you're not the best person to ask then, Paul.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. We were like, oh, let's do this. About a year ago, we tried to do it, and they denied us. I'm thinking like, what? I fit every qualification they wanted to a T plus. So I don't know. But if you wanted to get started and you didn't have your own property, what I definitely would suggest. If you got a client already, just just create your Airbnb profile. You don't need to have a property underneath you to be a co-host. Mm-hmm. So just do it that way. There's so much information and there's so many ways for you to, learn structure or SOP or piggyback off of another company's way their contracts are set up. There's just in today's world, right? Everyone has, access to so much information.
Yeah.
So if you want to do it, just do it. And, obviously you want to get your first client, right? And show and prove. And kind of going back to what I said before about, when I started, I was doing way more work than what I was getting paid for. And if you want to do this, and I feel like just how my mind works to run a business and build a business, that's what you got to do. You got to show that you have so much value before, anything else. And I wouldn't worry about making money at first. Just worry about providing a service that's better than the next person in your area. So me and my wife are very different and we run this business together. When we first started running the business, I never looked at making money. I just was totally out of my mind. And then really when my wife was kind of like, all right, you gotta you're working way too much and we're not making money. You're doing handyman work for the clients for free on a regular basis. And not I was telling her, but listen, they're going to tell everyone they know, we're going to be providing a service that's just so much better than anybody else. The word's going to go around and more clients are going to come to us. And that eventually is exactly what happened. And so what I'm getting at is if you want to do this, you don't have a property to co-host and you want to start, gain some knowledge, read some books. The Hospitable community thing is a great tool. Obviously, Bigger Pockets is another great tool where you could actually send, even on Hospitable, same thing. You can talk to other people like myself and you can take little tidbits of information for people, put it together and make the business plan and business model that works for you. Just be prepared to work. If you think you're going to just become a co-host and put things on automated messages right away and just put all your pricing on Price Labs or on dynamic pricing on Hospitable and not really do the market research of your area that you're in, then it's not going to work. But if you're ready to put in work, your focus is actually giving service rather than making money. Eventually in time, this will continue to go and the snowball effect will happen. It's guaranteed to happen if you're at least good at it, unless you're really trying and you're not good at it, which I guess is possible at all points as well. But keep on trying, then you're going to get good at it. So I think that is really my advice is be prepared to work, gain some knowledge on your market and just start. Don't sit around and wait to think that you have to rent out your extra bedroom to gain a little bit of experience. There's so much experience that you can learn online without even hosting someone once. And you will figure it out, but just start. That's it. Just start.
Awesome. Wise words. I love it. Cool. So one final easy question, Paul. is just Cozy Co-host. Where do people go to find out more? What's the website URL that they need to head to?
You can find us on our website at www.cozycohost.com. You can also check us out on Instagram, the Cozy Life AC. And yeah, I mean, we're pretty active on both things. I'm trying to get better with the social media. It's not my forte, but that's something that I have to just do and kind of start to do it a little bit better is social media and taking time out to do things like this. That's definitely something that we need to do better job. But my focus is really the business on hand, clients, guests, and make sure these properties are, in great shape. But yeah, anyone wants to get in contact with us, those are the two best ways, the website and our Instagram.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you very much for joining us today, Paul.
Thank you, Miles. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Hospitable Host podcast and for listening to Paul and all his insights. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and listen out for the next episode coming real soon.